From Homedale to Salmon River, District 3 has several teams that don't always get their due. Stepping outside the shadows of the SIC, this is the Treasure Valley Prepcast with Logan Green.
That's right. Another edition of the Treasure Valley Prepcast coming at you. 3A, 2A, 1A breakdown in the state of Idaho for District 3 each and every week here on IdahoSports.com. Brandon Baney with Logan Green. Logan, what's up?
Not much, man. We were just prepping for this, everybody, and talk about jumping around. There's just so much going on right now. Definitely. I mean, we mentioned it earlier on at the beginning of this season that it's just tough to get everybody covered. There is so much going on right now. Just every little corner. There's a sport for everybody in the spring, it seems like.
Yes, and so it's going to be a jam-packed show. We got a couple of listener/viewer emails about, hey, here's a topic that might be worth exploring, and keep them coming. I mean, that's the only way that we're going to be able to talk about them, and you know, maybe they're on our radar, but maybe not. A lot of things fall through the cracks this time of year, so keep sending those emails. Yeah. Brandon at IdahoSports.com, Logan at IdahoSports.com. We love to hear feedback from the listeners. That's what we do it for. So the top story, though, I think over the past week, 10 days in District 3 for the smaller schools is North Star Charter Baseball. And we talked about on last week's Prepcast how they went up to that tournament in Kuski, Clearwater Valley, and dominated the competition there. And now that they've gotten into league play, Logan, boy, they have just really shown that they're the class of the Western Idaho Conference as well, including a 15-0 shutout victory over Rimrock that came right at the end of March. That was a pretty noteworthy event. Yeah,
it was an incredible game. We hit on it a little bit, a little bit on North Star Charter Baseball, but you look at the things that they've been doing right now, and including that big win against Rimrock, they had a no-hitter. Right, a no-hitter thrown in that game. Not only a no-hitter, but a perfect game thrown in that matchup, and just an incredible effort there by the Huskies.
Yeah, Daniel Kormylo, who's the ace of the staff. He was the ace of the staff last year for North Star Charter. As we talked about, they got all the way to the championship and fell to Genesee in their very first year of existence as a program. So this perfect game, you know, we hear no-hitters a lot in the state of Idaho, and in fact we're going to talk about a couple of no-hitters coming up. But perfect games, that's a whole different ball game. That's rarefied air. So for Kormylo to come out and throw a perfect game, which is the first in school history as well, since it's only their second year of playing baseball, I mean, what an accomplishment.
Yeah, and the thing is that the game was stopped after 4 innings. He threw 48 pitches. All right, so let's get into the math here. 48 pitches, that's 12 pitches an inning, right? 3 batters, and you get 3 batters an inning, 3 up, 3 down. It's a perfect game. So you're at 4 pitches per batter. He struck out 10 of those 12. So you're talking that worst case scenario that everybody was down 2-1 in the count when he struck him, or 1-2 when he struck him out. Like on average, right? I'm sure there was some that, might have had a 2-2 count or a 3-2, but typically he was up 1-2 in the count on average during that game and was striking. He struck out 10 of 12. Talk about, I've played in softball leagues over here where I'm at, and people are in the outfield with, having themselves an adult beverage, and then they miss the fly ball because they're too busy with that. If you're a North Star Charter, you could have been doing homework out there in the outfield. He's taking care of it at the plate. Only 2 of those balls made it in play, which is crazy. But it's just a phenomenal effort when you break it down like that and you look at it, 4 pitches per batter, and that's all they got, and that game was over. That's a heck of an effort.
Yeah, it's incredible. And since that 15-0 shutout over Rimrock, they then swept another doubleheader with the Raiders. 1 game counted in the conference standings, 1 didn't. But they won 23-2 and 15-5. They beat Wilder 41-6, and they just shut out Horseshoe Bend. We're recording this on Wednesday. Tuesday night, they played Horseshoe Bend, which might be their toughest competition this year. I think it's, the 3 teams that made it to state last year from this league were North Star Charter, Horseshoe Bend, and Glens Ferry. And I think
Right.
those three are probably the favorites again. And Horseshoe Bend is a good team. And they got shut out 10-0 last night against these Huskies.
Yeah. And, you wonder how much Horseshoe Bend, they had a lot of those guys from Garden Valley, and Garden Valley with their own team this year, right? So is that playing into the effect for the Mustangs? A lot of graduation on that team as well. But so North Star will play Glens Ferry next week on the 14th. And so that maybe we'll see there, right? How they match up against, because they have just been rolling so far. And is anybody going to stop them right now? Because they've played some tough competition like at these tournaments, and they've just rolled through it. And when you can pitch like that, and you look at these scores, like they are hitting the ball well, they're pitching well, clearly. It doesn't matter what level you are. It is hard to strike out 10 of 12 and to only throw 48 pitches. That's tough to do. Doesn't matter what level you are. Just incredible. And he's, that's not the only superb pitching performance here in District 3 over the last couple of days.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So let's transition, and we'll keep an eye on North Star Charter. Again, though, they ultimately will be judged on, can they beat the North? I think it's been a long time, or maybe never, has a team from District 3 beaten a team from the White Pine League for the 1A baseball championship since they went to the current arrangement. Right. So that's going to be the big question further on down the line. But yeah, you talked about it. If we go from perfect game to a couple of no-hitters, let's start with the Melbourne Mustangs. Jeff Fahee took the mound recently and threw a no-hitter. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, and Melba, they've been a team. We mentioned it earlier that Melba was a team that's always in the mix in 2A, that we might have the best baseball conference in the state right here, just the teams involved. And, they have struggled a little more than traditionally, but they're still a good team in that, including that big, the no-hitter, right? They can still get it done when they need to get it done. And I tell you, it's just a tough league that is here in District 3 right now. Just what you have to deal with in Marsing now, right? They're in this mix now, and then you've got Nampa Christian, who we'll hit on in a little bit. They're phenomenal, and then there's Melba as well. Just a lot of good teams involved right now.
Yeah, so you mentioned Marsing, and they beat Melba earlier this year, and it kind of raised some eyebrows a little bit. Now, that was at a non-conference tournament, but now we get the actual the conference matchup, the one that's going to really count in the league standings. Melba will host Marsing on Friday night, and so we'll find out. And you better believe Melba's going to be very motivated against Marsing in that one.
Yeah, you look at it. So Marsing did fall last week to Nampa Christian, right? So they did lose that game.
So does everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So does who doesn't, right? So they lose that one 10-0, but honestly, hey, it's not too bad. But then they go and they do beat New Plymouth 6-3. So, they're hanging around. They're doing a good job. Marsing, probably one of the better stories. So we mentioned it last week, that it's fun to see teams that we haven't seen before in a long time. And it's been a while for Marsing, and it'll be fun to see them throughout the rest of the season.
Definitely. So yeah, Jeff Fahee of Melba throws a no-hitter in amongst their other, big wins. They've got wins over Coal Valley Christian lately. They beat Glens Ferry, lost to a good Weezer team, but they're the defending 3A champs. So yeah, Melba's going to be just fine. The big question is, can anybody take out Nampa Christian? And we spent almost a whole Prepcast already talking about Nampa Christian, but in baseball, they just keep coming. And what their pitching staff has been able to do recently has been nothing short of incredible. And this was one of the 2 emails that we got this week from viewers asking, hey, can we talk a little more about Nampa Christian baseball? And it's well deserved, because Landon Cheney goes out and throws a no-hitter. So that's 3 no-hitters / perfect games in the Treasure Valley in like less than 10 days.
And that no-hitter was that game we just mentioned. It was against Marsing, a good team that's been beating people. Like, that's what's even more impressive about it, is that it was against a good team. And you look at the pitching the last couple of games for Nampa Christian. They played a doubleheader against Gooding and held them in one of the games, just 3 hits in a game. And then they played Coal Valley the other day, 1 hit in that game. It's just, after the no-hitter, they're not giving up hits right now. They're just not. They're shutting people out. They're not letting people on base. And they're hitting the ball, right? Even if they were letting people on base, you look at it in these games, right? They put up 10 against Coal Valley. They put up 16 and 10 against Gooding. They put up 10 against Marsing. They put up 8 against Fruitland, and those are all shutouts. Every one of those games was a shutout. It just, 17 against Nissa. Like, where does it end, Brandon? It probably ends in a run to the state championship. To be honest, if I'm being honest, I guess that's where it will end. And you look at it right now, and there's nothing to indicate otherwise for Nampa Christian.
Yeah, and so you talked about they've got all these great seniors like Cheney and Bradshaw, etc. But they've also got underclassmen that are contributing. So right after Cheney throws that no-hitter, they play Gooding in a doubleheader and they sweep it 10-0, 16-0. And they dug deep into the pitching staff. They threw a freshman, Caden Mullins, in the first game, and he only allowed 3 hits, which, compared to Cheney, it's like, oh man, you allowed 10, but 3 hits allowed is awesome for a freshman. He struck out 11. So this is a freshman that's dealing. And then in the next game, it was a couple more young guys. Landon Mills, a sophomore, took them out in the second game, and he struck out 3. And then Braden Schaefer comes in to clean it up. And, they only allow, I think it was 3 hits, right? I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their pitching on the season, 70 innings pitched. They've given up 26 runs on the year. And none lately, to be honest.
Right.
They all came in those tournaments against good teams up north. Like that's where they're, they got that chance. But you look at it, Cheney has 41 strikeouts on the year. He has 24 innings pitched and 41 strikeouts. So on average, he's going to strike out 2 batters per inning. Typically, that's not a perfect, maybe 1.75 if you want to get technical. But he's going to sit somebody down. It's just phenomenal the way that they can pitch it. And then you look on the other side, their batting statistics. How many people are hitting over 400 on that team? We mentioned it before, but if you run through it again, I mean, Bradshaw 406, Mills is at 412, Mullins at 465, Merritt at 467, Cheney 559, Owens 571. Like, where? Good luck, guys. That's a brutal lineup to have to face for anybody. And nobody's pitching better than Nampa Christian right now. And that's what people need to be able to do to beat them. And it's, it's tough. They're good. They're good.
You got guys that are flirting with 600 batting averages. That's just insane to me. That's just,
and that's Cheney he's hitting 559 with 49 plate appearances. It's not like he not batting, right? It's not like he's got a couple at bats and it's inflated. That's consistent. He's consistently hitting like that. It's
crazy. I think this line we got in the email from Pierce Bradshaw, big Nampa Christian supporter. I think this sums it up best. Not only is Nampa Christian loaded with seniors and a very good program, but they will be shining for years to come, which is great if you're a Trojans fan, not great if you're anyone else in 2A baseball.
No, definitely not. It's just one of those programs that they just reload. They don't have to regroup or whatever. What do you call it? Rebuild. They don't have to rebuild. They just reload. Doesn't matter. We'll plug in freshmen and we'll still beat you. And they're just going to learn from their upperclassmen and keep it rolling. So I mean, just something to keep an eye on if you want to see good baseball. Look no further than Nampa Christian.
Definitely. Well, a team that's been playing good softball recently is New Plymouth. They won the league last year, the 2A WIC, and looking very strong. Again, Coach Crockett always does a great job with the Pilgrim softball program.
Yeah, I mean, they're on a roll right now. 23-2 win over Marsing, 24-3 over Vision Charter, 16-3 over Parma. And then they had a big win earlier against Melba, 6-1. And that was, New Plymouth was a team that last week in the coaches poll wasn't ranked. And do you think maybe they had a little chip on their shoulder that's saying, hey, we're not ranked, and Melba was third. they come out and beat Melba 6-1. And I think you're releasing those this week, Brandon, right? And
as soon as we're done recording this. So by the time people are listening to this, the polls should be up on the site. So,
and are they ranked in the new coaches poll?
Yeah, so they inherited that number 3 spot that Melba had previously. So,
they deserve it. Like, based on what we've seen right now, I think they deserve that spot. They've been playing phenomenal. They beat Vale 8-6. They beat McCall Donnelly a couple weeks ago, 14-3 and 6-0. New Plymouth looking good right now. I think in softball, got a player in Jewel Bell that's just playing lights out right now for the Pilgrims as well.
Yep, and other teams that caught your eye in softball, I know Notice did as well. Notice is another very strong program in the 1A ranks for softball.
Right, yeah. Right now, Notice sitting pretty high in those coaches polls as well. At least last week. Again, I haven't seen this week's. Brandon's got that. It's privy to his eyes only until it's released. But they were sitting at number 2, and they were getting first place votes, only behind Glens Ferry right now at the 1A level. They had a good week this week in softball. They've got good players as well. Some players that were on the basketball team moving over, like Kudabak playing well right now for the Pirates. So they're another team to look out for, looking for a nice state championship run for them. But they had a big win last night against Notice. Again, this is Wednesday. So on Tuesday night against Notice, 12-2. And they do have a win over Glens Ferry. So right now, Glens Ferry's sitting in that top spot, but they do have a loss to them. So you know what? You're looking at it and saying,
I will tell you that last year, Notice won the district, but when they got to state, it was Glens Ferry that got hot at the right time and won the 1A state tournament. So Glens Ferry came in as the favorites. You mentioned they were number 1 in the polls last week. They have dropped to number 3 this week, Logan.
Okay, so there it is. There. See, again, I'm not privy to those special things that Brandon gets all the time.
I feel like I'm Ryan Seacrest here.
Reveal it, Brandon. So who's number 1 this week in the girls' poll?
It is Notice.
It is Notice. All right, go Pirates. There we go.
Yes.
I'd looked at that and I'm like, man, that team needs to be up higher. And sure enough, they deserve it. They deserve to be in that top spot. Congrats to them.
And how about this? Also leapfrogging Glens Ferry, another conference member, Greenleaf Friends, the Grizzlies, checking in at number 2 in the coaches poll this week.
Wow. So it's been a while since we've seen Greenleaf at the top of something, but hey, again, I love to see it when we see teams, that we don't talk about as much and coming around. So congrats to Greenleaf for getting in that spot as well.
Yeah, no doubt. So we'll keep an eye on all of the great softball action as we move forward. Let's talk a little track and field. We haven't done the deep dive into track and field yet. And we got an email from Josh Waite. He's a big fan out in Melba. And he says he wants our opinion on Melba boys track. Now we're going to talk about the girls track team at Melba too, because historically that has been a strong program. But what do you make of this boys track program? They have some guys, Joe Reber is all-state basketball player, MVP of the 2A state tournament. And then McCoy Richardson was Melba's top wrestler from this past winter, and they're now teaming up on the track, and that's a pretty lethal 1-2 combo.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Reber has not done track before. This is his first year, or he's not. Maybe I'm wrong there. I thought maybe he was new into getting into track, but
that's what Josh said in the email. He said,
okay.
He said Joe Reber is in his first year competing in track and field.
Okay, so if you've seen this guy play basketball, that he gets up and can dunk it. You just don't. He is not like 6'5", right? Where you're like, oh yeah, that guy's gonna dunk. But he has got some of the. I'm not just saying this because it's on our Prepcast, but some of the best hops I have seen because of the size, and clearly he's doing well at that in the high jump right now. Last I saw, he was able to clear the 6'4" in the high jump, and he he's doing great in other events too. But I think that's the jumping events are things that he's got a good shot out from. I'm sure that he picked up the jumping ability from his basketball training. I'm sure that's what it is. I'm sure all the training that I never did, because I can get about 4 inches off the ground, that Joe's doing is paying off. Obviously in the dunking standpoint, because he can throw it down there, but then also on the track side as well. And that, he can go out and do it in another sport.
And check this.
I don't know where else you're going to find that jumping ability come in handy like you will on a track field.
Yeah. And Joe Reber is 6'4", and generally speaking, the taller you are, the slower you are. That's not to say that Joe Reber is slow, but it's just, physically speaking, the taller you are, the more body mass has to move through the air. And so generally, when you look at like sprinters, you think of Usain Bolt, who's like, 5'8", 5'10", whatever he is.
Right.
But Reber at 6'4", look at this, Logan. He's got the best, we're talking 2A, class 2A leaderboard here. Joe Reber's got the best time in the 100, 11:07. That's really good for a 6'4".
Wow. Yeah. I did not realize that he was in that regard, but he's the top of the 2A in that regard. I knew it was fast, but man, that's impressive to be, like you said, to be tall and doing that and can jump. It's, there's just some kids that are living the dream that everybody wants, where you're just good at everything. And that's Joe Reber right now, right? You win a state championship in basketball, and then you just go out and you start dominating another sport as well. I mean, you can't beat that for a high school kid.
Yeah, so here's for the Melba boys: Joe Reber, senior, McCoy Richardson, junior. Here's where these guys are. In the 100, Joe's got the best time in 2A. McCoy has the 4th best time at 11:86. Then you move on to the 400. McCoy Richardson, best time in 2A, 50:80. That's really good. Anything sub 50 is like elite. So for him to be at 50 is pretty outstanding. Then you look at the hurdles races, the 300-meter hurdles. McCoy Richardson, top time in the state for 2A, 39:86. Again, anything sub 40, really good in the 300-meter hurdles. Melba's 4x1, 4x2, and 4x4 relays all have the best times in the state of Idaho for 2A competition right now. So that's obviously very talented. And then you talked about the jumps. Joe Reber is tied for the best 2A high jump, 6'4", along with Seth Hall of Aberdeen. McCoy Richardson is tied for 3rd. He's cleared 6 feet already. And then you look in the long jump. McCoy Richardson has the best 2A long jump, 21 feet 9 inches. Joe Reber is 5th, 20 feet 3 inches. So those two alone are top 5 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 events.
And you go through all those numbers and you say, well, another dominating sport for Melba, right? I mean, we saw the football team with an incredible run, right? The quarterfinals, great season for them, like usual. Basketball team, obviously, boys win the state championship, girls win districts, both go to state. And now all of a sudden you're here. Baseball team's always good. And now your track team is just completely blowing people out like this, where you're leading how many different events, and you've got, you can just throw in a new kid and Reber. I mean, I guess he's not a new kid. He's been around the block, but you get this new athlete on your team, and he's just plugs right in and starts winning. Man, it's a good place to be if you're a Melba sports fan. That's for sure.
No doubt. A couple of other non-Melba WIC athletes to keep an eye on. Grady Mylander of Nampa Christian, great distance runner, 800, 1600, 3200. He and Danny Simmons of Salmon have kind of been trading off the top times. That's going to be fantastic. Those distance races at 2A state track this year are going to be must watch for the duel between Simmons of Salmon and Mylander of Nampa Christian. And then the top 200 time in the state right now belongs, or in 2A track, belongs to Casey Aratola from New Plymouth, 24:19. So way to go, Casey Aratola as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And of course, now let's talk quickly about the Melba girls in track, because, historically, they've been very strong there. Maya Young has the second best time in 2A in the 100. Brooklyn Daly has the second best time in 2A in the 400. Rosalind Kasier has the top time in the 1 mile, the 1600, and she's third best in the 3200. Cortland Coleman is fifth best in the 3200 for Melba. Kendall Clark has the second best 110-meter hurdle time. Brooklyn Daly has the fifth best time in the 300-meter hurdles. Their relays are ranked in the top 5 across the board. And then you get into the field events. Taylor McCoy has the top discus throw, 129 feet, 11 inches. That is almost 15 feet further than the second best throw right now, which is just insane to think about. And then if you look at the jumps for Melba as well, Maya Young has the best long jump at 16 feet, 8 inches. And Kendall Clark, her specialty is the triple jump, and she's got the best triple jump, 36 feet, 6 inches. And that is more than 3 feet better than second place right now. So that's just the Melbourne girls.
That just whatever they're putting in the water over there in Melba is I'd like some of that. Just phenomenal athletes everywhere down there. Like you mentioned, you can pick anybody off that list and you just can't go wrong with any of them. All those events, all those leaders, it's good. It's good for them. I don't know. There's nothing else to say, right? Besides that, it's just dominating. Whatever they are doing down there is clearly working.
Yes. And I will give a shout out in the non-Melba category. Peyton Mills Jr. from Nampa Christian has the best 100 and 200 times in the state right now for 2A. 1278 in the 100, 2632 in the 200. So we'll keep an eye on Peyton Mills of Nampa Christian this year as well. So yeah, that's the Melba track breakdown. I think on the girls' side, they're going to be right in the mix and probably enter as the favorite. Other teams that look strong, maybe West Side, depending on how many athletes they can get through. Nampa Christian, certainly from their own district, and possibly Aberdeen, I think, could be a dark horse team as well. On the boys' side, I think it's going to come down to Melba, Salmon, and North Fremont. Salmon will dominate those distance races.
Yeah.
North Fremont always just has good numbers overall, but I think Melba's right there in both boys and girls track. So
yeah, like you said, I don't know what it is about Salmon. I just remember we did a couple of those cross country races during the season, and they were over in Eastern Idaho. You did them both, Brandon, but I was just checking them out, making sure you weren't making a fool of yourself. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just like how many of those salmon, they're like almost like camouflage-ish type run jerseys that they have, like the brown and orange, or maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, they just seemed like salmon runner after salmon runner was up there. And so, yeah, you got to hold off those salmon long distance runners if you want to have a shot. But like you said, Melba boys, they'll have a shot at those other events at the competition.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch those teams get better as the season progresses. All right, Logan, before we duck out, there's a little bit of golf news too. Golf is probably, gets the least amount of hype in terms of the spring sports. And that's, they compete on Mondays a lot, and they don't get the coverage they deserve. And we're trying to do better with that in terms of, covering more golf. But there was a really cool golf story involving a freshman from Coal Valley Christian.
Yeah, and not that she needs any more coverage. Obviously, we are lowest on the totem pole of the coverage that she received over the weekend, but we can't not mention it, right? It was Chloe Singpraseuth. She played in the drive, chip, and putt challenge over at is that the exact name for it, or it's like the drive, chip, and putt challenge? I think that's what it is called.
Yeah, the National Drive, Chip, and Putt competition.
Okay, so that's the exact name of it. But Chloe, like we said, Chloe Singpraseuth, she played over there in that at Augusta. What an experience to be able to do that and show up, get on TV, get talked about on TV. That's pretty awesome opportunity for her to do that and represent not only just Coal Valley Christian in that, but all of Idaho, right? In the district in Treasure Valley, state of Idaho, just putting us on the map in some regard. And we always like it when those kids can go out and do something like that and get everybody a little bit of love, maybe indirectly, but just bring a little bit of light to our state.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And this is a competition that is designed for younger golfers. It's open to boys and girls ages 7 to 15. And so Chloe at age 15, this is her last chance to compete at the event, which is really exciting. And like you said, they hold that at the same venue that the Masters is being held this week, Augusta National Golf Course in Georgia, which is
even if you
phenomenal.
Flunked everything there, you got to play at Augusta. I mean, I'll take that. That's a great prize, right? to be able to do that over. I did terrible at everything else, but I got to play at Augusta, which is more than anybody else here can say. Like who else can say that around here right now?
Right. And the other cool thing is that there is a second Idaho competitor, a second grader, Carter Macy, and he is from Meridian, just like Chloe is, and he attends one of the prep elementary schools in Meridian. And so they didn't even know that they were both representing right. Idaho until they got there and figured it out there. So that's kind of a cool deal as well. So he's only a second grader. We'll keep an eye on Carter Macy as well.
Yeah, he probably will be a name we'll hear about in the years to come. But can you imagine? Like, I have my kids, my son, my oldest, is in second grade, and I cannot imagine him doing something like that. That is incredible. Now, his flag football team, which I coach, sponsored by Idaho Sports, we ran the gauntlet this weekend, win a big win for the Idaho Sports Giants over the Seahawks 31-6. But that's a little different than playing at Augusta in second grade. That is, I can't even, literally can't imagine my second grader doing that. That is, to have the poise, confidence to do that. That's amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you keep winning, the real life New York Giants might be calling you up because they have.
You know what? Brandon, it was simple. It was simple. We gave up a touchdown on our first drive, right? And then what we did is no blitzing, none. We just played a very tight 3-2 defense inside the box. And I told my kids, you do not rush. You do not rush. You wait. Because it's little kid football. They try all these misdirections. And I said, no, you just wait. And they would wait. Sure enough, I don't think they picked up a first down after that. They shut them down. So, you know what? The reporters weren't too bad this game, but I do worry about them in the future. It just the spotlight. I hope that they can handle the spotlight that'll be coming to them. And I mean, most of it is due to coaching, but some of it is due to them. So,
right. Well, good luck.
If you can't see my face, this is complete sarcasm. They did. I just have really fast kids, honestly. At the end of the day, they're fast and it's hard to catch them. So I got lucky.
now we're going to have to do the weekly check-in on how
we'll do the week. They have a game this week. Who do they play? Vikings. It's pretty cool. They give them like real NFL team jerseys and all that. So we got the Vikings this week at 5. But I do have a kid where I try not to overly use him, but if we're in a tight spot, he's getting the ball. Nobody can catch him. He's just so fast. And
your own personal cheat code.
It is. He is a cheat code. Like I let him take 2 handoffs and he scored on both of them, and both were from our 5-yard line. I mean, he just hits the edge and he's gone. It's pretty funny, but not that anybody needed to hear about that either. But all is well with the Idaho Sports Giants.
Yeah, I'm sure all your coaching rivals are going to be tuning into this to try and.
Yeah, I'm sure they're just waiting to find out.
Yeah, well, we'll check in on how the IdahoSports.com Giants did next week, and of course, lots more spring sports in the high school scene to cover as well. Keep those emails coming as well. Brandon at IdahoSports.com.
Yeah,
Logan at IdahoSports.com.
Like you said, Brandon, it makes it easier. There's so much going on that we can't get to all of it. So we'd love to talk anything, whether it's, like we said, we talked about golf today, whatever, just send it our way so that we can get them on the air.
Definitely. All right. Thanks for tuning into the Treasure Valley Prepcast. For Logan Green, I'm Brandon Baney. We'll see you next time on Idaho Sports.